Welcome to Chinese History and Mythology.
Hey friends, welcome back to Chinese History and Mythology. More than 2,000 years ago, Qin Shi Huang brought a long age of war to an end and united scattered lands into one vast empire. This ruler was called the First Emperor, and his name left a deep mark on the long course of history. However, when it comes to the end of his life, the historical record contains many unclear and uncertain parts. The turning point in history came when he suddenly died during one of his imperial inspection tours. After that, later generations created countless stories about his death, his tomb, and his search for eternal life. These stories are not just stories. They reflect how people of that age understood life, death, and even the universe itself. For people who are not familiar with the historical background of East Asia, understanding these mysteries requires stepping into the cultural world of that time. People in that age believed that there was a connection between heaven and earth, and that the health of the ruler was closely tied to the fate of the state. In earlier episodes, we already talked about how the death of Qin Shi Huang was closely connected to his obsession with finding an elixir of immortality. The story of Qin Shi Huang searching for eternal life can be traced back to a trend from the Warring States period called the culture of Fangxi. Fangxi were people who claimed to possess special knowledge. They said they could communicate with spirits and make magical medicines. In some ways, they were a bit like a mixture of spiritual mediums and doctors from modern television dramas. Before Qin Shi Huang unified the 6 states, there were already stories in the coastal regions of Yan and Qi about immortal mountains in the sea. These mountains were called Penglai, Fangzhong, and Yingzhou. According to legend, immortals lived there, and they possessed the medicine of eternal life. It is actually quite interesting, and I do not know whether it is only a coincidence or not. I wonder if any of you have ever read Journey to the West. If you are interested, you can search for Monkey King Sun Wukong and Journey to the West. I actually have a whole series where I explain Journey to the West in detail. In the story of Journey to the West, there is also a place called the Immortal Land of Penglai. In that place live 3 immortals: the Star of Fortune, the Star of Rank, and the Star of Longevity. These 3 are in charge of good fortune, official success, and lifespan. But Qin Shi Huang's search for immortality happened in the Qin Dynasty, while Journey to the West belongs to the Tang Dynasty. There are many hundreds of years between them. So does that mean this place called Penglai really existed? In fact, belief in Penglai came from the ancient people's reverence for and imagination about the ocean. The sea was vast, endless, and covered with mist, and for people living inland, it was full of mystery. The Fangxi used this sense of mystery to sell their ideas to rulers. They claimed that through special rituals and medicines, human beings could cross beyond the boundary between life and death. Qin Shi Huang believed these claims very deeply, and this was related both to his personality and to the political world of his time. As the first emperor of the Qin dynasty, he created a new title, established a new system, and even brought about the first true unification in Chinese history. He hoped to strengthen this unprecedented power by gaining control over life and death itself. In fact, the story of the Fangxi Su Fu is the most famous chapter in the legend of the elixir of immortality. The story says that a man named Su Fu reported to Qin Shi Huang and claimed that there were 3 sacred mountains in the Eastern Sea, and that he was willing to lead a fleet to search for the immortal medicine there. Qin Shi Huang approved his request and gave him enormous support. He provided many ships, food, servants, medicine, and all kinds of grain seeds. This fleet was very large in scale. It included thousands of young boys and girls, as well as many different kinds of craftsmen. From a modern point of view, this was not simply a voyage to search for medicine. It looked more like a planned migration or colonial expedition. The fact that they carried craftsmen and seeds suggests that they were preparing to settle for a long period in the place they reached. As for where Su Fu's fleet finally went, history offers several different theories. One main view is that they reached what is now the Japanese islands. At that time, the Japanese islands were in a period of transition from the Jomon Age to the Yayoi Age, when agricultural techniques and the use of metal tools were beginning to spread. The arrival of Su Fu's fleet may have brought more advanced culture and technology. In some parts of Japan, remains and legends connected with Su Fu still survive today. These include places called Su Fu's tomb and Su Fu's shrine, and local people there regard him as a divine figure who brought civilization. This kind of cultural memory has crossed more than 2,000 years and become a link between ancient China and Japanese history. Another view is that the fleet may have reached the Korean peninsula or other Pacific islands. No matter where they finally went, the disappearance of these 3,000 boys and girls after leaving Qin with Su Fu remains a major historical mystery. If we look at the legal system and social structure of the Qin dynasty, mobilizing so many minors would have been a huge undertaking. Qin enforced a very strict household registration system, and every person was under state supervision. Why the families of these children agreed to let them travel so far is not explained in detail in the historical record. It may be that they were promised a better future, or that this was simply part of compulsory state conscription. In the thinking of that time, serving the emperor was considered the highest honor, but it also came with enormous risk. These children traveled by sea, facing unknown storms and disease, and their chances of survival would have been a serious problem. If they really did reach lands overseas, then how they adapted to a new environment and how they blended with local people are both questions worth exploring. This event reflects the powerful ability of the Qin dynasty to mobilize people, and it also shows the level of seafaring technology at that time. Not long after Su Fu left, Qin Shi Huang died of illness. The story of Qin Shi Huang's death became full of drama and conspiracy in later historical telling. Because no one could be certain that Peng Lai truly had an elixir of immortality, Qin Shi Huang sometimes also went personally to different places to search for the medicine of eternal life. He fell ill during his 5th Eastern inspection tour at a place called Shakyu Platform. Shakyu was located in what is now Hebei province, and at that time it was an important stop along the imperial route. As for the exact cause of his death, the historical records are very unclear. Some say it was due to extreme exhaustion, while others say it was a sudden illness. In the hot summer, long-distance travel was a huge test for physical health. By that time, Qin Shi Huang was already in middle age, and years of handling government affairs and carrying out inspection tours had drained his strength. During his final illness, only a small number of trusted people were by his side, including the Chancellor Li Si and the eunuch Xiao Gao, whom we talked about earlier. These two men would go on to play a crucial role in what followed. Before he died, Qin Shi Huang had written an imperial order commanding his eldest son Fusu to return to Shanyang to preside over the funeral and inherit the throne. At that time, Fusu was supervising the army on the northern frontier together with the general Ming Tian. This order represented the true will of Qin Shi Huang, but in the end, it was never delivered. Li Si and Xiao Gao conspired to hide the news of the first emperor's death, and this was a bold and dangerous decision. In an autocratic system, the death of the emperor meant a vacuum of power and could very easily lead to turmoil. They feared that if Fusu took the throne, he would change the existing political order and damage their interests. So they forged an imperial order, forced Fusu and Ming Tian to die, and placed Hu Hai on the throne as emperor, the man later known as Qin Shi. In order to hide the truth, they placed the body of the first emperor in a special carriage. This kind of carriage had the function of preserving the body and keeping things hidden. Its windows could be opened and closed, and curtains could block the view. Every day, they continued to present food to the carriage as usual, pretending that the emperor was still alive. Officials reported affairs of state from outside the carriage, and eunuchs passed on messages in his place. This scheme continued for quite a long time, until the imperial procession returned to Xianyang. In the heat of summer, the body began to decay and give off a terrible smell. In order to cover the odor, they ordered large amounts of salted fish to be loaded around the procession. At that time, salted fish was a valuable product from the sea, and its strong smell could confuse the senses. The fact that the death of the supreme ruler of a vast empire had to be hidden by the stench of fish is itself a kind of irony about the fragility of power. In Chinese history, emperors usually began building their own tombs while they were still alive, and when it comes to the structure of the mausoleum of Qin Shi Huang, that is another unsolved mystery. This tomb lies at the foot of Mount Li. It is enormous in scale and highly sophisticated in design. According to historical records, the inside of the tomb was filled with all kinds of mechanisms and treasures. Deep in the underground palace, mercury was used to represent the 100 rivers, the Yangtze and the seas, and mechanical devices kept it flowing. This description has been supported by modern scientific surveys. Archaeologists tested the mercury levels in the soil around the mausoleum and found strong mercury anomalies. This suggests that there really is a large amount of mercury inside the underground palace. In ancient times, mercury was refined from cinnabar. Cinnabar was believed to have the power to grant long life, so mercury was also given a mysterious meaning. Using mercury to imitate rivers and seas was not only for visual effect, but also for the creation of a miniature model of the universe. Qin Shi Huang hoped that after death he could still rule this underground world, and the flowing nature of mercury symbolized both the continuation of life and the movement of power. The design of the underground palace reflected the idea of heaven above and geography below. This means that the ceiling of the tomb chamber was painted with the sun, the moon, and the stars, while the ground was made to imitate mountains and rivers. This design came from the ancient idea of the unity between heaven and humanity. Ancient people believed that the human world was a reflection of the heavens above, and that the emperor, as the son of heaven, had to live in a place that matched the patterns of the sky. Painting a star map on the ceiling of the tomb was meant to allow the dead emperor to continue gazing at the stars underground, and to remain connected to heaven. The geographic model on the ground displayed the lands of the empire, and symbolized the emperor's eternal possession of the territory. This kind of layout did not only show the technical skill of the time, it also reflected deep religious belief. The tomb was not simply a place to bury a body. It was a sacred space that connected life and death and linked heaven and earth. The craftsmen used large amounts of stone and wood in the construction, making the structure strong and secure. In order to prevent grave robbery, crossbow traps and other mechanisms were placed inside. Anyone who tried to break in would trigger these mechanisms and face deadly danger. As for the condition of Qin Shi Huang's body, that still remains an unsolved mystery. The Qin dynasty had already mastered a certain level of preservation technology. Archaeological discoveries show that noble tombs from that time used materials such as charcoal and white clay to block out air and moisture. Charcoal can absorb dampness and odors, while white clay can form a sealed layer. In a tomb of the first emperor's rank, the materials and techniques used must have been even more advanced. Some people speculate that Qin Shi Huang's body may have been treated with special substances, or perhaps placed in an environment filled with mercury. Mercury has antibacterial and preservative properties, and high concentrations of mercury vapor can stop microorganisms from growing. If the underground palace was well sealed and its internal environment remained stable, then it is possible that the body could still be preserved today. But that also raises another question. Mercury is poisonous, and long-term exposure can harm the human body. Whether the craftsmen took any protective measures during construction is not recorded in history. Considering the labor conditions and technical level of that time, many craftsmen may have paid with their lives. The construction of the mausoleum lasted for decades and used hundreds of thousands of laborers, and this without question added another layer to the violence of Qin Shi Huang's rule. The mystery of how Qin Shi Huang's body was preserved is also connected to the ancient tradition of jade burial suits. Although suits of jade sewn with gold thread became much more common in the Han Dynasty, the Qin may already have had similar ideas or attempts. Jade was believed to prevent decay and keep the body from rotting. It is possible that jade burial objects were placed in the tomb to protect the body. This reverence for jade came from its hardness and smooth warmth, and jade was seen as a symbol of moral virtue. Combining jade with the body was meant to make the dead person endure forever like jade itself. This kind of belief was deeply rooted in East Asian culture. Modern science can explain the chemical principles of preservation, but it cannot fully reconstruct the ancient system of belief. As the funerary army of Qin Shi Huang, the Terracotta Army has provided physical evidence for understanding the military system and culture of the Qin dynasty. However, archaeologists discovered that some of the terracotta figures were not fully completed. Some have only a rough clay body without detailed carving, while others are missing color. This has led to several different guesses. One view is that Qin Shi Huang died suddenly, and the work was forced to stop. Building the Terracotta Army was a massive project that required a huge amount of time and labor. While Qin Shi Huang was alive, the work continued, but his death disrupted the entire plan. Hu Hai, who came to the throne after him, faced both internal crises and external threats and had no time to care about the final work on the mausoleum. Another view is that this was done on purpose. In ancient belief, an object with some kind of imperfection could sometimes carry special religious meaning. Whatever the true reason may have been, these unfinished terracotta figures show us details of the production process. The weapons unearthed from the Terracotta Army, including bronze swords, daggers, and spears, were buried underground for more than 2,000 years, yet they still remained sharp and almost like new. After analysis, it was found that the surfaces of these weapons had gone through a chromium salt oxidation treatment. This kind of technology was not reinvented in the modern world until the 20th century. How craftsmen in the Qin dynasty mastered this technique remains a mystery. It may have been discovered by accident, or it may have depended on some secret formula that was later lost. These weapons were also highly standardized, and different parts could be exchanged with one another, showing the powerful industrial style of management in the Qin dynasty. Qin law required that the names of the craftsmen be carved onto the weapons so that responsibility could be traced. This strict system of quality control ensured the fighting power of the army. The terracotta army is not simply a collection of artworks. It is a miniature reflection of the military system of the Qin dynasty. The facial features of each terracotta figure are different, and this may mean that they were modeled on real soldiers. This allows us to catch a glimpse of the faces of Qin soldiers from more than 2,000 years ago. Their hairstyles, clothing, and expressions all preserve the features of that age. There is another unsolved mystery connected to the Qin dynasty, and that is the identity of Qin Shi Huang's empress. The historical record is almost completely silent on this point. In Qin Shi Huang's inner palace, not a single woman was ever formally established as empress. This is a very rare situation in the history of Chinese dynasties. Normally, the empress was not only the emperor's spouse, but also an important part of the ritual structure of the state. The absence of an empress may have had several different reasons. One explanation is that Qin Shi Huang was too occupied with government affairs and warfare to pay much attention to matters of the inner palace. He devoted his life to unification and institutional construction, and his personal life was compressed to the extreme. Another explanation is connected to the experience of his mother, Shao Ji. During Qin Shi Huang's childhood, Shao Ji's behavior was seen as improper, and she even became involved in political scandal. This may have left a deep psychological mark on him. He may have developed strong suspicion toward women holding influence or toward the political interference of the wife's family. By not appointing an empress, he could avoid the growth of outside family power and prevent the kind of chaos that had appeared during his mother's time from happening again. The laws of the Qin dynasty were strict, and there were also clear rules for the management of the inner palace. Although there was no empress, the inner palace still had a clear hierarchy. According to historical records, the inner palace of Qin was registered in 8 ranks. The records about Qin Shi Huang's women are very limited. We only know that the mother of his eldest son Fusu was consort Zheng, and the mother of his youngest son Hu Hai was Lady Hu. After Qin Shi Huang's death, many women of the inner palace were forced to be buried with him, which reflects the cruel burial customs of that time. Archaeological discoveries have also provided physical evidence. In the northwestern part of the inner wall area of the Qin mausoleum, 99 well-planned tombs have been found. All of the tomb passages face toward the burial mound, and the occupants were all young women. Qin Shi Huang promoted the virtue of water and believed that the Qin dynasty replaced the Zhou dynasty because water overcomes fire. This takes us into the cultural idea of the mutual overcoming of the 5 elements in China. We can explain it with a simple comparison. Imagine the 5 elements: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. Almost like a game in which each one can overcome another. Water extinguishes fire, and that is the most direct example of this relationship. The Zhou dynasty claimed to belong to fire, while Qin Shi Huang believed that the Qin dynasty belonged to water. So if water overcomes fire, then the replacement of Zhou by Qin could be explained as natural, justified, and fully in line with the order of the universe. Each of the 5 elements also has a traditional color. Wood corresponds to blue-green, like the color of trees or deep green plants. Fire corresponds to red. Earth corresponds to yellow. Metal corresponds to white. Water corresponds to black. These 5 colors often appeared in ancient clothing, banners, and ritual practices. The color associated with the virtue of water was black, so the clothing and banners of the Qin dynasty were mostly black. This choice of color was not only a matter of taste, it was also a symbol of political legitimacy. The virtue of water also carried the idea of harsh punishment and severe law, because water was associated with coldness and a cutting, severe quality. This matched the legal style of the Qin dynasty. Qin law was famous for being harsh, with heavy punishment even for light crimes, and its goal was to preserve order through fear. This way of thinking reached into every part of the state, including the design of the mausoleum. The Mercury rivers inside the underground palace were not only an imitation of geography, but also an expression of the virtue of water. Qin Shi Huang hoped that through this design, his rule could be joined together with the order of the universe itself. This way of combining politics with cosmology was one of the most striking features of ancient Chinese political culture. The ruler was not only the leader of human beings, but also the guardian of the order between heaven and earth. From this, we can clearly see that Qin Shi Huang's ambition went far beyond simply unifying the 6 states.
There is still debate in history over whether the underground palace was ever robbed. The records of the Grand Historian says that the Qin Mausoleum was dug in two and that large amounts of treasure were taken away. But modern archaeological surveys suggest that the main structure of the underground palace may still be intact. The mercury anomaly is concentrated in a limited area, which suggests that the mercury did not leak out on a large scale. If the underground palace had really been heavily looted, the mercury should have spread across a much wider area. This may mean that Shang Yu's destruction was limited only to the buildings on the surface, or that the later story was mistaken. The entrance to the underground palace was hidden, and the anti-theft measures were strict, so it is possible that they successfully blocked ancient tomb robbers. If the underground palace truly has never been opened, then the relics preserved inside would be an enormous treasure store. Besides mercury and precious objects, there may also be a large number of bamboo slips and books. The Qin Dynasty once burned books and buried scholars, and many precious texts were lost. If books are preserved inside the underground palace, they could have a revolutionary impact on the study of pre-Qin history. However, current archaeological policy puts protection first and does not support active excavation. This is to avoid damaging relics through technology that is still not advanced enough. The excavation of the Mawangdua Han tomb was a lesson in this. Many silk objects rapidly oxidized and changed color as soon as they came into contact with air. Because of that, the secrets of the underground palace of the Qin Mausoleum may still remain asleep for a long time. It is also said that inside the mausoleum of Qin Shi Huang there was an everlasting lamp. According to legend, the lamp in the underground palace was made from the fat of a mermaid and could burn for a very long time. The so-called mermaid may actually have referred to a giant salamander or some kind of sea creature, whose fat could burn for a long time. Inside the sealed underground palace, the light was not only for illumination, but also for creating a sacred atmosphere. The everlasting lamp symbolized a flame of life that would never go out, echoing the wish for immortality. But fire needs oxygen, and inside a sealed underground palace, oxygen would have been limited. So in the end, the flame would still go out. That itself is a paradox. The desire for eternity was still restricted by the laws of the physical world. Yet within their limited technology, ancient people used imagination to try to break through those limits, and that spirit is deeply moving. The architectural style of the Qin dynasty was grand and plain at the same time. Although the Apang Palace was never completed, the scale of its ruins is still astonishing. This kind of large-scale architecture displayed the majesty of imperial power. For foreign observers, understanding Qin history requires stepping outside a Western frame of reference. The concept of imperial power in East Asia was different from the concept of kingship in the West. The emperor was not only a political leader, but also a religious one, a mediator connecting heaven and humanity. So his death was not only a change of ruler, but also a disturbance in the order of the universe. The search for an elixir of immortality also has parallels in Western history, such as alchemy. But Chinese alchemy placed greater emphasis on the combination of inner alchemy and outer alchemy, and was connected to theories of bodily cultivation and the transformation of cosmic energy. The culture of Fangxi in the Qin dynasty was one of the early foundations of later Taoism and influenced the later development of religion. Understanding these backgrounds helps us understand the logic behind Qin Shi Huang's actions more deeply. As archaeological technology continues to advance, some of these mysteries may gradually be solved. Methods such as remote sensing and geophysical surveys can gather information about the underground palace without actually digging into it. Future research may reveal the exact pattern of the mercury distribution, or perhaps discover new burial pits. But some secrets may never be solved at all. The charm of history lies in its uncertainty. The unsolved mysteries of the Qin dynasty are not only subjects for historians, they are also rich material for popular culture. Films, novels, and games keep reconstructing this period of history and giving it new meaning. In these works, Qin Shi Huang is sometimes portrayed as a villain and sometimes as a hero. These changing images reflect the values of modern people. The way we think about power, the way we think about life and death, and the way we judge historical figures are all projected into these stories. Real history may actually be more complex than fiction. Qin Shi Huang was a many-sided figure. He had both great ability and cruel harshness. His death and his mausoleum are key ways of understanding that many-sided character. By interpreting these mysteries, we are in fact interpreting human desire and human limitation themselves. The story of Qin Shi Huang is one of the grandest narratives in human history about power and death. Although the Qin dynasty was short-lived, its influence was far-reaching. It shaped the basic pattern of Chinese political culture, and it also left behind countless unsolved mysteries. These mysteries will continue to exist, pushing later generations to keep searching for the truth. And in that search, we do not only learn about the past, we also come to understand the present and the future more clearly. The dust of history may have settled, but the story is still continuing.
Alright, that is everything for today. Thank you for listening to Chinese history and mythology. If you enjoy my show, please follow, like, and share it with the people around you. You are also very welcome to leave a comment on my blog and share topics you are interested in at bonniespodcasthandbook.blogspot.com. I am really looking forward to hearing from you. Alright, that is all for today's Chinese history and mythology. See you next episode.